वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपारकरुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणम् श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण पुमान् पूर्णः प्रजायते तं वन्दे ब्रह्मविद्धुर्यं सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्। संसारसागरनिमग्नजनोद्दिधीर्षुः यो वातरच्छिवनृसिंहगुरुच्छलेन ध्याढ्यान्धकारहरणं करुणासमुद्रं तं दक्षिणास्य मनिषं हृदि भावयामि। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं
सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
गोविन्दं
परमानन्दं
परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं
सद्गुरुं
प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
विरज्य विषयव्रातात् दोषदृष्ट्या मुहुर्मुहुः
विरज्य विषयव्राता दोषदृष्ट्या
दोषदृष्ट्या
मुहुर्मुहुः
मुहुर्मुहुः
स्वलक्ष्ये नियतावस्था मनसः शममुच्यते
स्वलक्ष्ये
स्वलक्ष्ये
नियतावस्था
नियतावस्था मनसः
मनसः
शम उच्यते
शममुच्यते
विषयेभ्यः परावर्त्य स्थापनं स्वस्वगोलके
विषयेभ्यः
विषयेभ्यः
परावर्त्य
स्थापनं
स्थापनं स्वगोलके
स्वस्वगोलके
उभयेषामिन्द्रियाणां सदमः परिकीर्तितः
उभयेषाम्
उभयेषामिन्द्रियाणां
इन्द्रियाणाम् सदमः
सदमपरिकीर्तितः
परिकीर्तितः
भाग्यानालम्बनं वृद्धेरेषोपरतिरुत्तमा
बाह्यानालम्बनं वृद्धेरेषो परतिरुत्तमा
सहनं सर्वदुःखानामप्रतीकारपूर्वकम्
सहनं
सहनं
सर्वदुःखानाम्
सर्वदुःखानां प्रतीकारपूर्वकम्
अप्रतीकारपूर्वकम्
चिन्ताविलापरहितं सातितिक्षा निगद्यते
चिन्ताविलापरहितं
चिन्ताविलापरहितं
सात्विकः
सातितिक्षा
निगद्यते
निगद्यते
शास्त्रस्य गुरुवाक्यस्य सत्यबुद्ध्यावधारणा
शास्त्रस्य
शास्त्रस्य
गुरुवाक्यस्य सत्यबुद्ध्यावधारणा
सत्यबुद्ध्यावधारणा
सा श्रद्धा कथिता सद्भिर्यथा यया वस्तूपलभ्यते
सा
सा
श्रद्धा
श्रद्धा
कथिता
कथिता सद्भिर्यया
सद्भिर्यया
वस्तुपलभ्यते
वस्तुपलभ्यते
सम्यगास्थापनं बुद्धे शुद्धे ब्रह्मणि सर्वदा
सम्यक्स्थापनं
स्थापनं बुद्धे
बुद्धेः
शुद्धे
शुद्धे
ब्रह्मणि
ब्रह्मणि
सर्वदा
सर्वदा
तत्समाधानमित्युक्तं न तु चित्तस्य लालनम्
तत्समाधानमित्युक्तं न
तत्समाधानमित्युक्तं
तु
न तु
चित्तस्य
चित्तस्य
लालनम्
लालनम्
समाधानं किम् इति पृच्छेत् बुद्धेः ब्रह्मणि स्थापनम् बुद्धेः ब्रह्मणि सर्वदा स्थापनं समाधानम् इति उच्यते चित्तसमाधानं चित्तस्य समाधानं न तु चित्तस्य लालनम् Acharya is going to say is the Vyakyana Tara, the commentator to the Shloka. We have seen halfway, we already some parts of the commentary we have seen. And there he said, Chittasya lalanam cannot be samadhanam. Buddhehe brahmani tapanam. Focusing the mind, placing the mind, stapanam. Stapanam, stadatu. Stapanam, positive. So, cause to stand means placing, keeping, stapanam. Buddhehe stapanam, placing the mind, it means fixing the mind, focusing the mind. Where the mind should be fixed. That is the The mind should be fixed upon the goal, which is Brahmani. So Brahmani Stapanam. Brahmani Stapanam, Samadhanam. This Samadhanam is not similar to Shama. Shama, what we saw before. No, it is not same. Shamaha is Svalakshe Niyatavastha Shamaha. And Samadhanam is Buddhehe Brahmani Stapanam. Swalakshe, focusing the mind upon the Lakshyam. That is Shamaha. Focusing the mind on Brahma, that is Samadhanam. So Lakshyam being Brahma. So therefore it seems to be same both, but it is not same. For a sadhaka, for a mumukshu, it begins with samadha, it begins with the shama, that is having in mind the goal that is to be reached, to be accomplished. For that, the mastery over mind, that is shamaha. Then after shamaha, then uparatihi, etc. Now the mind is naturally fixed in the goal, in the Brahma, which is the goal, samadhanam. So therefore, shama at the beginning level, samadhanam at the level of sadhya, accomplishment. So shamaha in the preparation stage, samadhanam later. That is why Acharya, in the beginning itself, the commentator, Acharya meaning the commentator. He said there is a difference. It seems to be the same, but it is not. It is different. So what is the difference? Shamavastayam prayatana visheshaha apekshate. At the level of shama, there is a need of the effort. The mind is of the nature of sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha, of the nature of oscillation. So therefore, prayatnaha, effort, apekshyate, effort is required. Whereas at the accomplishment level, samadhanam, there is no effort required. That is chitta samadhanam. Shamaha iti sadhanam katyate, samadhanam tasya palam. Tasya paripaka. Paripaka is matured. When shama becomes matured, then samadhanam is natural without effort. And Acharya further he said, it is not chitta samadhanam. Chitta samadhanam is not chittasya lalanam, like a crying child is given whatever it asks for in the world, whatever things he has. Similarly, the mind should not be entertained with whatever it asks for. Wherever the mind goes, the person also should not go. So therefore, it is not chittasya lalanam, it is chittasya samadhanam. Acharya said the last line, Loke balakaha visheshataha rudanti. Balakaha, the kids, boys, kids. Rudanti, they cry, visheshataha rudanti chet. Tadishtam, whatever they ask for, datva, giving that. Samadhatate janaha, people pacify them. Tadvata, like that. Manasaha yateshtam, like that, whatever mind asks for. Vishaya marga sancharanam, moving around, roaming in the Vishayas, in the objects, sense objects. Na samadhanam itiyaha, that is not samadhanam. Therefore, chittasya lalanam na, kintu chittasya sthapanam brahmani buddhehe. Then Acharya he quotes from Yoga Vasishta. All these Shloka Vasishtas got beautiful shlokas. Shubha Shubhabhyam. From there we are supposed to continue. Shubha Shubhabhyam Margabhyam Bhaganti Vasana Sarit. Paurushena Prayatnena Yojaniya Shubhe Pati. Simple shloka, the meaning can be easily understood with a little knowledge of Sanskritam. Sarit, Sarit means river. Takaranta Shabda. Sarit, Saritau, Saritaha, like Marut. But Marut is Pullinga. But Sarit is Strilinga Shabda. River, Nadi Ityartaha. Nadi Ikaranta, Sarit Takaranta. Nada Shabda also is there. Nadaha. Nadau, Nadaha. Brahmaputraha is generally rivers have feminine, female. Here, we have got feminine names. But Brahmaputra is one which has got masculine name. Brahmaputraha. So Nadaha, Nadi, Atha Nadaha. Nadaha is Pullinga Shabda. So Vasana Sarit. Shubha Shubhabhyam. Shubha Ashubha. Shubha auspicious, good. Shubha Marga. The Marga which is good, which leads to the good. And Ashubha which is not good, which leads to Ashubha, inauspiciousness, or the path which is not recommended by the Shastra, which is Adharmika. So Shubha Dharmika Marga, Ashubha Adharmika Marga. That is what Shubha Ashubha is. Otherwise, what is Shubha Ashubha? That which is conducive for one's spiritual growth, that happiness which is everlasting happiness, that Marga is Shubha Marga. That Marga is Ashubha Marga, where we derive happiness momentarily, temporarily, from the objects or from the people around or in a situation or from situations. So Shubha Marga is Moksha Marga. Anything other than Moksha Marga is Ashubha Marga. We can take that way also. So Shubha Marga is Moksha Purushartha. Ashubha Marga is other Purushartha. It doesn't mean other Purusharthas are not required. It means one cannot continue to be in always after Artha, Kama, and Dharma. All these have to be crossed over, to be given up at a later stage and commit oneself for moksha. Unfortunately, that commitment for moksha or interest for moksha comes at a later stage in old age. There we don't, neither we have strength, physical strength, nor we have the courage to pursue. That is why it is good to have this attitude from the very beginning. Let all other purusharthas, the dharma, artha, kama, subserve moksha, having moksha as the goal. Another purushartha subserving that attitude and that lifestyle is the best lifestyle. Shubha Marga. Okay, then Shubha Shubhabhyam, Shubhascha, Ashubhascha, Shubha Shubho, Tabhyam, Margabhyam, through the path of Shubha Marga, Shubha Marga, Vahanti, Vahanti Shatranta, Sarit, Vahanti, Vasana Sarit. That a person, because of his Vasana means because of the old habits, certain disposition or inclination is naturally created in the mind. You don't have vasana about, say, for example, computer. You don't know anything. Then it is new. There is no vasana. There is nothing, no knowledge about the computer. Therefore, no vasana. Therefore, you don't know how to operate even, how to even open a Word file. But if you are an expert, then you know everything in and out, both hardware and software, because of previous knowledge, orientation, that is vasana. So vasana is not memory. You can say memory also. We don't use that for the localized memory, this vasana is carried over even from the past janma. That is what vasana is. Natural tendencies. So the child is born. All the child are born, but all the children they are born, but they are not of the same mental, inclination towards things. It's the same thing. They've got different mental dispositions. All are not the same in all the things. So they have got different interests, different inclinations because of vasana. We can attribute that only vasana. Some are child prodigy, some are spiritual inclination because of purva samskara, purva janma sampadita samskara. That is vasana. Samskara also we can use the word samskara. Samskara means the 41 samskaras, rituals are there for a person in a person's life, starting from Annaprashna onwards. There are also samskaras. The samskaras are meant to create good vasanas, so that even Upanayana samskara, the child is expected to grow traditionally to become a Samskrita Purusha, that is samskara. That creates good vasana. So therefore, this vasana sarita, vasana is compared to a river. So that vasana river, the river of vasana flows. Vaganti carries a person, the Shubha Marga and Ashubha Marga. These vasanas which have been gathered due to previous janma or previous these habits, the naturally created inclination tendencies that carries a person towards the path of good and bad. Now, but what therefore, if the person is carried towards the wrong path, then Purusha Prayatnena, though difficult, but one has to put effort to shift from Ashubha Marga to Shubha Marga. Shubhe Pati. Pati is Patin Shabda. Saptami. Shubhe Pati Yojaniya. Purusha Prayatanena, this Vasana river, the river of Vasana should be diverted, should be connected to the Shubha Marga. If the Vasana is, if the Vasanas are, previous Vasanas are bad, they are not Dharmika, not conducive, then a lot of effort is required. Himalayan effort is required to shift from Ashubha, the tendency to go towards Ashubha Marga to Shubha Marga. A lot of Purusha Prayatana is required. I remember Swami Chinmayanji once said, when a person asked him, having been habituated to bad habits, alcohol, etc., now the person wants to change. He came and asked Chinmayanji. Then he said, already you are traveling at a 200 kilometer per hour. Don't stop. Continue. Whatever you are doing, please continue. Slowly apply the brake. Don't stop immediately the habits which you are addicted to. Take some time. Stops gradually over a period of maybe 6 months or a year. Don't put the brake immediately. Like the vehicle speeding at 200 kilometers cannot be put brake and stop immediately. It takes some time. Similarly, because of vasana, there is a vasana of the previous bad tendencies, smoking or alcohol, that carries a person towards that marga. So it requires a lot of effort. Therefore, Purusha Prayatnena. So, Loka Vasishta, therefore, there Vasishta says, a lot of Purusha Prayatna. Purusha Prayatna, Paurushena means Paurusha. Purushasya Prayatnaha, effort is required by that Yojaniya, Shubhe Pate. The Vasana Sarit, the river of Vasana should be connected, should be diverted, should be shifted. Ashubeshu samavishtum shubeshvevavarayat. Swamana purushartena bhalena balinambara. E balinambara, Sambodhana it is. Bara, Sambodhana. Was strong among the best among the strong people. Ashubeshu samavishtum shubeshu eva avatarayet. Swamanaha purushartena bhalena bhalena purushartena. So by the strength of Purusha effort, Swamanaha, by the effort of oneself, Swamanaha, one's mind, mental power, strength, the person who is surrounded by Ashubha, so that person, Ashubeshu Samavishtam, Swamanaha, that mind which is Ashubena Samavishtam, Samyak Avishtam, which is surrounded, covered, then that mind by Balena, by force, Shubeshu eva avatare, let it be shifted, directed towards Shubha, to the good. Ashubhat shalitam yati shubham tasmadapi tarat. Jantos chittam to shishuvat tasmat chalayet balat. Avatare chalayet, all these are ling lakara. So Ashubhat shalitam jantoho chittam. Chittam, the mind. Jantoho, of the beings. Manushyaha. Manushyanam chit. So Chittam, the mind of the Jantu. Jayate iti Jantu, that which is born is Jantu. Here Jantu means we are talking about human beings. Because Purusha Prayatna, when we say, it's about only about the human beings. So Ashubhat Chalitam, that which is Ashubhat, Shubham, Ashubhat Chalitam, Jantoho Chittam, Tasmat Ashubhat, Itaratu Shubham Yati, Jantoho Chittam, Shushuvat, like the mind of the person, like a shishu, like baby, like a child. Like a child should be shifted, should be directed from Ashubha to Shubha. Itarat, that is Shubham, Yati, let the mind is compared to a child. Our mind is like a child. The mind is like a child. It should be gradually, slowly shifted from bad to good. Tasma chalayet balat. Slowly, with gradually, and with effort. Of course, effort is required. So therefore, like slowly coaxing the mind, cajoling the mind, like you cajole a child, the mind should be slowly. It means force cannot forcefully do, but you have to do with effort. Effort is required, of course. Cajoling the mind, shifting the mind from the pleasant to the good, like Shreyas and Prayas, said in the Katopanishad, Shreyo Margaha, Prayo Margaha. From Prayas to Shreyas, from Ashubha to Shubha. Samata Santvanenaashu, Nadragiti Shanaihi, Paurishena Prayatrena, Lalage Chittabalakam. Samata Santvanam is Sant Kajolin. Samata Santvanena Ashu. Ashu is quickly, cajoling the mind quickly. Nadragiti Shanaihi, slowly also Santvanena Ashu. Na Shanaihi, Dragiti, Paurishena Prayatrena, Lalage Chittabalakam. Lale Chitta Balakam. Again, here also the Chitta, the mind is compared to a Balaka, a child. The Paurusha Prayatrena, Shanagi should be slowly, should be not forcefully, you cannot immediately withdraw it from these natural tendencies. Nadrak. Shanaihi, Shanaihi. Shanaihi, Shanaihi. Ashu, you can take Ashu gradually. Gradually, the mind should be cajoled, like you cajole the child. Lalayet. Lalayet, Purusha Prayatnena, Lalayet, by the human efforts, by the effort, slowly should be directed from Ashubha to Shubha. Iti Vasishta Ritya. Vasishta is Yoga Vasishta. As said in the Yoga Vasishta, or in the manner the Yoga Vasishta says, Yoga Vasishta Ritya, Chalanam Lalanam Va, Shamari Sadhanatvena Purvam Prekshate. The Chalanam and Lalanam, Chalanam is causing to move, go, direct. Lalanam, cajoling. All these Shamari Sadhanatvena in the form of the sadhanam, the shama, etc. It is purvam, it is apekshate, it is expected before. Now we are talking about samadhanam. So at the level of sadhanam, at the level of the sadhana, that is shama, etc., then the chittasya, chalanam, lalanam, all these things are required. Now we are talking at the level of sadhya, therefore samadhanam. Nato palibhuta samadhana avasthayam. Not at the palibhuta, not at the sadhya level. Pali is palibhuta now at the end of the result, at the end of the all this sadhana, samadhi, etc. sadhana, the result of that palibhuta, that is sadhana, samadhana, avasthayam, in the condition, in the state of samadhana, chitta samadhana, avasthayam, tad abhyasam vina api. No abhyasa, no effort, that is chittasya lalanam, lalanam, chalanam, lalanam, not required. Without that, even shamari sampadana kale, krita prayatnena eva, kshina bhagya vasanasya manasaha. At the time of samadhi sampadanam, gaining samadhama, etc. itself, that effort is required. Therefore, krita prayatnena eva, all the vasanas, bhagya vasanas are kshina. They are destroyed. Their bhagya vasanas are overpowered in the at the level of sadhanam itself, samadhi sadhanam itself. Now samadhanam is at the sadhya level. Therefore, their effort is not required because already vasanas, the pura samskaras, ashubha samskaras have been neutralized, have been destroyed. Therefore, sagunat pratyavana matrasya nirgune tapayitum apekshitatvad. Therefore, sagunat prachyavanam. Prachyavanam stapanam. Yada manaha bhagya vasanayaha muktaha muktam bhavati. Tada tasya gatyantram nasti. All the bhagya vasanas which are not conducive for moksha, for the goal, which is moksha is the lakshya, that is the goal. All these have been, from all these, the mind is already free. Therefore, the mind has no other go. Therefore, what happened to the mind? Therefore, the mind slowly, sagunat, sagunat, prachyavana matrasya nirgune stapayitum. Saguna vishayat, manasaha vimukam krutva, nirgune saswarupe stapayitum, abhyasasya avashyakata nasti. From sagunam to nirgunam, withdrawing the mind, that is manasaha vimukam krutva. From saguna to nirguna, that is in the beginning stage of meditation, the mind cannot meditate on formless Brahma. It is difficult, not possible. Therefore, it takes the help of some saguna upasana, saguna Brahma upasana, that is meditation on a devata, a deity with form. This is at the beginning stage. Now the mind is trained and mind is made to fix in the object of meditation naturally. Therefore, Nirguna Brahmani, Nirgunam is its Swaswarupa, one Swarupa. Therefore, Stapayitum Apekshitatva, that Abhyasa is not required because Bhagyavasanaha Purum Nashtaha Eva, Shinaha, they are destroyed at the level of Shama itself. Therefore, withdrawing the mind from Saguna and placing it on the Nirguna is, that is Nirguna. Why Nirguna is that? Because Acharya said, Shankaracharya in the Shloka, Brahmani, Buddhehe Brahmani, Sarvada, Stapanam, that it was Samadhanam is. Therefore, Nirgune Stapayitum Apekshitatvat, it is expected, that is, at this level, the mind should be placed on the Nirgunam Brahma, not Sagunam Brahma. Sagunam Brahma and all at the beginning level, Upasana, as a Grihastha or Brahmacharya or Vanaprastha, this is already done, Upasana, Puja, etc., focusing the mind on the Rishta Devata and meditation, etc. Now the mind can meditate on Nirgunam Brahma. Nirgunam Brahma is that Ishvara with no form, Ishvara with formless Ishvara, that is you. Meditating on the Vakyas, Shruti Vakyas heard during Shravanam. Like there are Vakyas, like that there are words, Atma Avyayaha, to be meditated upon. Atma Avyayaha means Aham Avyayaha, Aham Purnaha, Aham Shashvataha, Na Jayate, I am not born. Atma is not, Atma na Jayate. Atma na Jayate means I am not born. Atma na Amriyate. Atma na Amriyate means I am not going to die. There is no death for me. So, therefore, Aham Nirakaraha, Sarvavyapi, Nirmalaha, Shuddhaha, Nitya Shuddha Mukta Swabhavaha. That is meditation on that Aham Shuddha Aham. In fact, at the further later stage, when you get established in this, in Samadhanam, and Samadhanam becomes matured and becomes a Nishta at the stage, later stage, or in the language of Gita, Sitapragyaha. Then, as in the Avadhuta Gita, there is a shloka. Yenedam puritam sarvam atmane vatmanatmani nirakaram katam bande habinam shivam avyayam. The Avadhuta Dattatreya, he says, nirakaram katam bande. That is, I am without a form. I don't have a form. I am a formless being. Everything is pervaded by me, and everything is pervaded. Everything is, there is no difference between me and the other thing. Everything is me. Aham Shivam. Aham Shiva, Aham auspicious, Aham Avyayam. How can I do namaskara? To what I will do namaskara? When everything is me. You cannot do namaskara to yourself. Everything is me. Then namaskara itself is not possible. Tasyapyaho namasturyam ahameko niranjanaha. How can I do namaskara to that which is I am without I am the one which is niranjanaha, stainless, taintless. I am the one, all pervading one. So how can I do namaskara? To what will I do namaskara? To do namaskara, there must be Veda Buddhi. To do namaskara, there must be the buddhi, there must be the thinking that I am different from the other thing, other person. I am different from the Bhagavan. Then only I can do namaskara. When there is no such difference, the difference is destroyed by knowledge. And that knowledge, when the person is established in that knowledge, Nishta, that is called Nishta. That is due to Samadhanam and Samadhi, and later stage when the person having exposed to Shastram, Shravanam, then the Sadhanam, Shravanam, Mannam, Nididhyasanam, then Nishta, then that person that is the jnani is it's not no more a mumukshu, it's a jnani. To whom able to namaskara? The namaskara itself, the shishya when it becomes a jnani, guru also is Brahma, shishya is also Brahma. So Brahma who can do namaskara to Brahma, everything is Brahma. That is why before itself the shishya do namaskara, do puja to the guru and offer guru dakshina, etc. Because after jnanam there is no difference. And there is all the differences are only at the level of ignorance. Ajnana avasthayam eva this Veda buddhi, this Veda buddhi is I am different from you, that Veda buddhi. That is why there is transaction in the world. If there is Aveda buddhi, then there is cannot be any transaction. Even if there is transaction, it is a semblance of transaction for a jnani. It is not a real transaction. Jnani will not have the buddhi that I am doing. I am doing that I am that kartrata buddhi is gone. Atma aham atma akarta. Atma is not the doer. Atma is not the seer. Atma is not the smeller. Atma is not the drinker. Atma is not the toucher. So Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran, Nashtan, Gachan, Sapan, Shwasan, Pralapan, Visajan, Grandan, Udmishan, Nimishan, Napi, Indriyani, Indriyateshu, Vartante. Agam naiva kinchit karomi. I don't do anything. Indriyas, sense organs, they play with sense objects. I don't do anything. That is the knowledge, jnana avastha. So therefore, nirguna stapagitum. So to place the mind in that nirguna Brahma, that is Swasvarupa in oneself, Atma. Now at the level of Samadhanam, there is no effort required because all the effort have been done at the level of sadhana itself. Samadhi sampadana kale eva kritam eva. So therefore, there is no practice required at the level of samadhana because all the vasanas have been destroyed before at the time of acquiring shama, etc. Therefore, the mind is now only to be turned away from saguna to nirguna, should be placed in nirguna Brahma. So, therefore, we can say there are two stages of samadhi. The beginning, it is shama, the practice stage, sadhana level, where the person has to struggle, has to put effort to focus on the goal. Later is palibhuta avastha, samadhana avastha, that is the stage, fruitful stage, sadhya avastha, where the mind is naturally established in the goal, that is lakshya, which is Brahma. Because where the fruit of meditation is already been reached. So therefore, in the early stages of spiritual life, a seeker undergoes this sadhana chatushtaya, especially shama, dharma, etc. That requires effort, krita prayatanaha, that's why Acharya says. And slowly when the person reaches an higher stage in life, in spiritual life, because of the effort already made, because of all this kshina bhagya vasanas, all the vasanas have been, worldly desires have been already kshina destroyed. Therefore, for him it is not difficult to move from saguna to guna. Saguna meaning thinking of Ishvara to be having a form, attributes, qualities. That is saguna. Nirguna is that which is free from guna, pure, attributeless. That is nirguna. So therefore, from saguna to nirguna, the effort it is effortless. It requires a gentle redirection. The mind is no longer is pulled outward by the world because all the vasanas have been destroyed. That is prachyavana. And therefore the mind naturally settles into the formless. So therefore the mind is already calm and free from the longings of the objects of the world. Then you don't have to force yourself into samadhi. Samadhi, distractions are gone, therefore the mind naturally moves from saguna to nirguna. So that's what your Acharya here states. Sagunat prachyavana matrasya निर्गुणे स्थापयितुम् अपेक्षत्वात् मनसः कीदृशः मनसः क्षीणभाग्य वासनस्य मनसः the mind which is free from all the previous vasanas and those vasanas have been taken care at the level of samadhi etc in the beginning stage itself. Therefore, without any abhyasa, without any effort, the mind can be placed in nirguna brahma sthapayitum apekshitatvat iti samadhanam. Having talked about samadhanam in the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the last one chaturtha sampatti is mumukshutvam. Viveka, vivekaha vairagyam, vivekaha viragaha, ivamutra palabhoga viragaha visa, then samadhi shatka sampatti, then mumukshutvam. That is the last one, and that is Acharya says, etadrisha sadhana gana manditasya mumukshutvam sambhavati na anyasi iti idanim mumukshutvamaha agankaraditi agankaradi iti. So etadrisha sadhana gana is group manditasya, the one who has got all this sadhana, this kind of sadhana chatushtaya this sadhanas, then only mumukshutvam is possible. Na anyasya. Otherwise, it is not possible for that person. Therefore, mumukshutvam aha. Therefore, Acharya tells what mumukshutvam is. Ahankaradi iti. The shloka. Now, let us read. Ahankaradi dekhantan bandhan ajnana kalpitan.
अहङ्कारादिदेहान्तान् बन्धानज्ञानकल्पितान्
स्वस्वरूपावबोधेन भोक्तुमिच्छा मुमुक्षुता
स्वस्वरूपावबोधेन भोक्तुमिच्छामुमुक्षुः
Mumukshutvam or mumukshutta both mean the same. Only pratyaya is different. Mumukshutvam, when we say it is apumsakalinga. Mumukshutta is strilinga. Tasya bhavaha tvatalau tva pratyaya or tal pratyaya. Because of the different pratyas, we have different forms. Mumukshutvam napumsakalinga rupam. Mumukshutta strilinga rupa. But form meaning is same. Moktumicha mumuksha. Moktumichuhu mumukshuhu. Tasya bhavaha, the status of having or being desirous for moksha is mumukshutvam or mumukshuta. So, what is, see, moksha is translated in English as moksha as liberation. But liberation, we use that, it's fine. But moksha is from the dhatu, much dhatu. Little Sanskritam, if you know, you can easily follow. Much dhatu, munchati, munchataha, munchanti. Sixth conjugation. Munch means to release. To tyaga ityataha, tyaga, to give up. Moch. Munch or moch. It is much dhatu, muchlu, to give up. Free, release from. To tyaga ityataha. So, in keeping with the meaning of the word, the dhatu, tyaga. Tyaga means giving up. That is a real renunciation. That is what sannyasa is. Atma doesn't require sannyasa. Atma is already free. Sannyasa is not for Atma. Sannyasa is only for that ajnani jiva only, for sannyasa. Atma doesn't take sannyasa. If Atma takes sannyasa, then it's a problem. Then Atma, whatever Atma has got, it has to give up. Atma, how can Atma give up when everything is Atma? Atma can never be touched by anything. Asangaha Atma. It doesn't have anga, it is partless. It is one whole, it is that alone is Sarva Vyapi. Everything is Atma when we say, how can it have parts, angas? How can it have eyes, nose, etc.? Not possible. Therefore, it is cannot have association with anything. In fact, it is has got association at the same time disassociated also. It can because it is never touched by anything. It is and that Atma is Aham. Therefore, Atma, there is no sannyasa for Atma. Atma being what it is. Then sannyasa for what? Sannyasa is for the Ajnani Jivaha only. The sannyasa means what? Then sannyasa is sacrifice, giving up. Giving up what you get, giving up what you get, moksha. Therefore, moksha is giving up. What do you give up? Giving up the bandha, giving up the sense pleasures, giving up the sense of inadequacy, giving up the sense of limitation, giving up the sense of insignificance, because all these are superimposed on Atma. That is Aham. On me, all these are Aham Parichinnaha, I am limited, I am unhappy, I am inadequate. There's always this, as Swamiji says, this, at the background, always the Shruti keeps on and keeps on playing. That is, I am limited, I am unhappy, inadequate, always wanted. So these are all superimposed on Atma. So therefore, these have to be given up. That is what Tyaga is. So moksha is not something which is to be gained, a new thing. It is not something newly gained. That nothing to achieve or nothing to attain, nothing, nowhere to go also. It is gaining the already gained. Already gained is why should be gained because I don't know, because I have got false notion about myself. Therefore, there is only giving up. Not really giving up, giving up the false notion. What you have that you cannot give up because that is your what you have. Atma, what it has Atma. Atma is everything when we say what it has. It doesn't have any parts. Therefore, doesn't have any possessions. Atma is what Atma is being free from everything. Therefore, it doesn't have to give up anything because it is being what it is. So, therefore, who has to give up? This Ajnana Jiva only who has a notion, wrong notion, that Ajnana Jiva has to give up so that he realizes his true nature. The sense of limitation, the sense of localization, which is superimposed on Atma, that should be given up. That is what moksha. Holding on to the limited is bandha. Giving up that is what is moksha. That giving up is done by knowledge. Therefore, jnanena moksha we say. In the Jagrata Avastha, there is the sense of individuality. In Sapnavastha also. What about Sushupti Avastha? In deep sleep state, where we don't have the sense of body or the mind or the sense organs. There is no individuality there. There is no sense localized. That sense is not there. Only when Panchakoshas, all the five koshas are active, which is there in the Jagrata Avastha all the more, and Swapna Avastha, of course, mind is operative. Manomaya Kosha is there. Therefore, there is the sense of localization, limitation. Therefore, a person suffers. Person is thinks himself to be born and therefore suffers in samsara. When these unless these are not negated as not me, then this sense of limitation will not go. This negation in the form of that is tyaga, giving up by knowledge. This panchakosha tyagaha. That tyagaha means not physically giving up. You cannot give up your body. That false notion, the wrong notion, what is there? That should be given up. That's why we say falsification. You think that your shadow limits you. A shadow cannot limit you. So all these body, mind, senses, these panchakoshas are like a shadow. It cannot limit you. Aham Atma Purnaha Sachidananda Swarupaha. So therefore, this body, mind, senses cannot limit. So, but there is a notion, there is a sense of limitation that the limiting factors which are there, these are not real, mithya. These are the bandha hetuhu. Therefore, bandhan, muktum icha, tyaktum icha, the desire to give up. And that is what Acharya says here. Ahankaradi dehantan, Ditya Vibhakti. Ahankaradi dehantan, bandhan, ajnana kalpitan. It is kalpita due to ajnana. Swaswarupa avabhodena. Giving up is possible only through knowledge. Therefore, Swaswarupa avabhodena. Moktum icha mumukshata iti. Ahankaradi dehanta. Starting from ahankara. Ahankaradi dehantan. Deha is body. So, therefore, ahankar. Here, Acharya Shankaracharya mentions only 4 kosha. Ahankara referring to Vijnanamaya kosha. What is Vijnanamaya kosha? That Acharya itself later, each koshas he will define and then explain also. Vijnanamaya kosha. So it's a way of looking at our this body, mind, sense organs. Either this can be this assemblage of body, mind, sense complex can be looked upon as 3 sharirams, or it can be looked upon as 5 koshas, made of 5 koshas. 3 shariram is Stula Shariram, which is well available in the Jagrata Avastha, in the waking state. Jagrata Avastha means waking state. In the Swapna Avastha, we don't have this Shariram, Stula Shariram, gross Shariram, gross body, but we have a subtle body. That's why dream is possible in Swapna Avastha, dream state. In Sushupti Avastha, that also not there. Therefore, in the Sushupti, deep sleep state, that Shariram, whatever body we have, that is called Karana Shariram. That Karana Shariram is a cause for Sukshma Shariram, which is obtained in the Swapna Avastha. In Swapna, you have a Sukshma Shariram, subtle body. Therefore, subtle experiences. Experiences are subtle, not gross like the Jagrata Avastha. The Jagrata Avastha is a gross body, therefore, gross experiences. So, 3 bodies at 3 different levels, 3 stages. Similarly, this body can be looked upon as 5 koshas. Kosha means Koshavat achadakatvat koshaha. Like it's a covering. Not really covering. It's a cover like a cover. So this Atma is covered as Atma can never be covered. It is always you have to understand. Otherwise, Atma is covered means we have problem. Atma is not covered. The covering is due to Ajnanam. Atma is as though covered by 5 koshas. Starting from the gross Shariram, which is Annamaya kosha, and Pranamaya kosha next level. Then Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, then Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha is what we experience in the Sushupti, deep sleep state, Sushupti Avastha. So these were for 5 koshas. But here Acharya says, Ahankarari Rekhantan. He leaves out the Anandamaya kosha because in Anandamaya kosha, which is obtained in the Sushupti Avastha, there you experience Ananda. In deep sleep state, even a person who has experienced some bereavement in the family is happy in the dream. The bereavement in the Jagrata Avastha do not touch the person in the deep sleep state. He is happy. He enjoys a very deep sleep, and that happiness, what he enjoys. When he wakes up, he feels that he has lost that. In spite of surrounded by all pains, all dukkam, all struggles, the person goes to deep sleep where he is not aware of himself. The mind is not there, body, sense, everything not there. He enjoys a deep sleep. Therefore, after he wake up, he says, I had a very nice sleep. He say, So it means there is no dukkam, absence of dukkam, absence of this, the experience of this shariram and therefore of the world. So that is that experience. Ananda is, that is why that Ananda experienced by whom? Whatever the shariram, that is called Anandamaya Kosha. As though that Kosha covers the Atma, that Anandamaya Kosha. So that Kosha the Acharya did not consider here because there you experience Ananda. So why do we consider? But that, of course, that also later we discover that Ananda is borrowed Ananda from Atma. Therefore, now here Acharya takes four koshas. Ahankara. Ahankara is Vijnanamaya Kosha, Aham Karta, Ahankara, Aham Bhokta, Aham Bhokta enjoy. That is Aham Bhokta enjoy. All these are due to Ahankara. So Ahankara corresponds to this Vijnanamaya Kosha. Up to Dehadi, beginning from Deha, Annamaya Kosha. So all these koshas, they limit me. Therefore, from this kosha, koshan moktum icha, and these are bandhan and ajnana kalpitan. These are bandhan, ajnana kalpitan. It is ajnana kalpitan is kalpitan is superimposed. So the panchakosha, ahankarari dehantan. These are bandha. These bind a person. This limits a person. Therefore, and these are kalpitan on the Atma due to Ajnanam. Therefore, Swaswarupa Avabodhena, by the knowledge of, by knowing the one Swarupa, Aham Atma iti, Aham Shuddha Chaitanyam, Atma consciousness iti, by that only this Ajnanam goes away. Therefore, desire to, the desire to be Muktamicha, desire to be free from all this ahankara, degantan, bandhan, from the bondage, which is kalpita, which is superimposed upon Atma, the desire to be free from, to give up, is what is called the icha, the desire is called mumukshuta. It's called mumukshuta, mumukshutvam. And commentary is there that we will see. We will see in the next class. So here Acharya gives a nice definition. Desire to give up is what is moksha is. Okay, we'll see. We'll discuss on this shloka further and then commentary in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Dhanyavadaha.
धन्यवादः जी।
धन्यवाद
धन्यवाद
गुरुजी।
धन्यवाद
धन्यवाद जी।
धन्यवाद